Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Real Talk with GDUB. Glad you could join in this evening. Please like my channel and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Today, we're going to have a very short conversation. This conversation is going to be about English. So we're going to call this little segment English 101. I'm just going to give a little dose of this information. When you're giving information, especially when you're giving truth to those who are sensitive, you have to give it in doses. I found that out. So let's just delve in a little bit and find out what this English 101 segment is really all about. I was having a conversation with a young man, and he was saying that English had started and originated from the British, from Great Britain. Well, part of that is true. We all heard that English came from Great Britain, that's the English language, and it came from Great Britain, it came from the British. Well, on the flip side of that, English originated not from Great Britain. English originated from the Germans. English is a Germanic language. English is a Germanic language that was adopted by Great Britain. It was adopted by the British. I was always told that French was a love language and that English was a business language and that German was a war language. Well, actually, German is an English language as well because the British adopted it by the Germans. It came and originated from the Germans. English is a Germanic language that was adopted by Britain. This is one of the reasons why our ancestors, per to the movie of Kuta Kente, when they chopped his foot off, because he didn't want to change his name. He didn't want to speak the English language. He didn't want a European name. Is because names had purposes. Names, as today, is your ID, is your identity. It is who you are. It is how people identify you. So he didn't want to be identified as an European or as British. He knew who he was. He knew his tribal name. He knew what tribe he came out of. He knew that his ancestors were kings and queens. And so he did not want to be adopted. It was like he was denouncing who he was as a person, because the names that we had in our culture and our heritage, our ancestors had, those names had purposes. It told a story. It told a story of who they was. You also remember in that movie when he was an infant, how his father held him up when his father named him. His father held him up to the universe and to the stars. And he named him because his name had purpose. And that's why he didn't want to give up his name, because that was the name his father gave us. As well, our spiritual father gave us names, as well as our natural fathers. So he knew what that meant, giving up his name. He felt like he had gave up not just his identity, but he gave up the person that he was, the melanin warrior that he was out of Africa. And so that's one of the reasons why he would rather die or get his foot chopped off rather than to change his name. He understood that English was a Germanic language. Our ancestors understood that English was a Germanic language that was adopted by the British. There are over 147 to 150 dialects, languages in Africa alone. Many of us with melanin skin are Hebrew. And many of us don't know the Hebrew language. Hebrew language is the purest language on this earth. But we don't know that language because it was taken away from us. So it wasn't just that they took his name. They took away his identity. They took away his purpose. They took away the name that his father gave him. And they were very spiritual people. So they understood that these names had purposes. So yes, while English is British, Great Britain dialect, they adopted it. They adopted it. So we don't even speak proper English. We speak broken English. We don't speak the King's English. We still don't speak proper English even. So as a people, because we don't know our name, because through our ancestors, they were named names from their tribe. That's how everyone knew everyone before the land was departing, before the land was splitted, before they even came over on ships and those that were here already. The native Indians, their names all had purposes. Their names meant something. Their names was who they were. And they lived their lives through their names. So we now that speak English, we translate everything into the English definitions and meanings. So therefore, we have translated our life into the English definition and meanings, because that's what we know. That's the language that we know. And that was the purpose for taking our tongue and for taking away our language. They were beaten. They were whipped. Some of them were even killed because they would not give up their name, because to them, their name meant everything. Their name was their life. And if I give up my name, I'm giving up my life. I'm giving over my life to you to do whatever you want to do with my life now, because I gave up my name. And that's what it meant to them, that and even more. So just know that English is a Germanic language. Even the book, the Bible, translated in English, is translated in a Germanic language. And the definitions and the meanings are also translated into that language. That's why it can be so confusing to us as a people to understand. Those of us that were born in the United States, born in America, we use English as our first language. But it was not our ancestors' first language. It was not our ancestors' first language. So now we speak a tongue that is not our native tongue. We speak a tongue that was given to our ancestors, that was beaten into them. We speak that tongue, an English tongue, which is a Germanic language. Do your own research. Don't take my word for it, as I always say. Look it up yourself. It's in Wikipedia or anywhere else that you want to search. Google, anywhere else that you use to search anything else that you need to or want to know. But English is a Germanic language. This is a beautiful life that we have been given. It's not that our life is not beautiful. We were given a beautiful life. But we live in a messed up world. And I could think of some few other choice words to say that I won't say, because that's not my character. But the world is messed up. And understand that when you speak English, that you're living through that definition and the translations of those words. We are a peculiar people. We are different people. We are melanated, beautiful people. We are kings and queens who has had their identity taken away. Get back into your culture. Study your culture. Study your roots. Because it's important, even now today, what we name our children is important. It is their life. It is their identity. It is who people will refer them as. So give them a purposeful name. Give them a meaningful name so that their life can follow their name and who they are. And understand that this is not our language. This is not our language. Our language was lost to us through our ancestors. And that was the whole purpose, so that we wouldn't know who we are. But now that many are being conscious and they're being woke, they understand who they are and they know who they are. And they're going back, many of us are going back to our culture and to our heritage that I'm proud to see and proud to say and proud to be here on this earth to see it happening. Because of the suffering of our ancestors, the murdering, the slaughter, the killing that our ancestors went through, we ought to know who our ancestors were, who our forefathers were. George Washington is not your forefather. As quiet as it's kept. As I said, I like to just give out little doses. So we'll delve into that on another conversation that we'll have. But know who your forefathers are. Who your melanated forefathers are. Know who they are. Know what they stood for. Know what you stand for. Even though they changed your name, they can never change who you are and who the Creator made you to be. They can never change that. They can never take that away. We are a peculiar people. We are a special people. And I just wanted to give you this little information this evening. Again, like my channel and subscribe. And know that your life is beautiful. Even though this world is messed up, this world has deceived us and brought many deceptions to who we are as a people. But if they didn't treat you right, why would you believe that they're going to teach you right? If they didn't treat your ancestors right, your forefathers, if they murdered them and they killed them and they hated them, and many of you may say, oh, it's not like that today. Oh, it's not that way today. Doesn't matter, because that's their legacy. You have a legacy, so do they. Your legacy is that your ancestors were in slavery. That's your legacy. They have a legacy of their ancestors being murderers and killers and rapers. Okay? It's the truth. It's just what it is. And when anyone changes the narrative, then they are racist, or they hit. I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist. I'm a victim of racism. But I am not a racist. I hate no one. But I will tell the truth. I will speak the truth. As long as my Father allows me to, and as long as I'm here on this earth, I will speak truth. So I just want you to know that I love you. Yes, I'm very passionate about my people. I love my people. And I want you to have a good evening. And again, like my channel, this is Real Talk with GDUB. Subscribe, and I'll see you soon. And you continue to have a blessed day. And just understand and know that your language that you speak now is not your language. It's a Germanic language that was adopted by the British, by Great Britain, and it was forced upon your ancestors. So that's why we now in America speak it. Those of us who are descendants of slaves, we speak it because our ancestors speak it. And everything that we learned from them through our oppressors. So now we have to relearn. We have to relearn. And we have to go back to our culture and to our roots. Love you, and continue to have a blessed day. And I'll see you next time at Real Talk with GDUB. Bye-bye.